So you let your XJ seat mounts rust away. What a shame. Today we're going to be talking about the newer style seat mounts, because this is a 96 XJ. So it's got the more the front seat bolts go in horizontally instead of vertically. You can see the brackets here. Luckily, it's pretty simple to reduplicate that bracket. All you need is a piece of angle iron, and then you can slightly bend the seat bracket up to make it vertical to match with the angle iron. So then next you have to either save where the bolts went. Yeah, it would be smart to measure those points so that you can reference it later. That would speed things up for drilling the holes to mount to the seat. Anyway, I didn't do that, so what I ended up doing was I put the seat in about where I wanted it, and then realized that this side runs parallel to the rocker panel, so you can measure. I wanted this edge an inch off the rocker panel, and I used that as a reference. So this is where the edge would go. I used that as a reference to get these holes. Now the front, you're a little bit easier because you're less space restrained, so you can make pretty much just make the angle iron bracket fit onto there and fit on the floor nicely. So then, now that I've got these drilled, what I did is I bolted them to the seat and then set the seat in here, and I was able to mark exactly where the brackets were. So now the next phase is going to be drilling holes through the floor and through the frame, so then these brackets can bolt through to the frame. So, and then along with bolting them to the frame should probably be enough, but I'm also just going to take a little plate and secure it over to the sides by welding a little plate in. That'll be pretty simple once I get the brackets bolted to the frame. It'll just be a measurement, cut the plate, and then weld it in. You want to start off with just a pilot hole through the floor and the frame so that you can check and make sure that you went through the frame where you want. Then what you're going to do is take your little piece of plate and your little piece of bar and your piece of angle iron, set it in here and mark them through the bottom, either with the drill or your center punch. So then you can drill those out and bolt them in. So the driver's side is pretty much exactly the same as far as measuring it and then drilling the holes, making sure it fits. Now, in case you're confused about how this works, there's two 5/16 bolts holding it to the frame, and then there's two 3/8 bolts for the seats, and these only go through the bracket, not through the floor. These go clear through the frame. Now, I did put a piece of rubber in between to avoid that metal on metal shifting and scratching, and I did, on the underneath view, I did put a bit of silicone on the bolts before putting them in the hole. That way it's sealed up a little bit to prevent rust. So now the seat can come in and use these studs. And this is a trick I like. You put the first nut on really tight, and then the second nut you can put on, and you don't need to use a wrench on the back because this is locked down now. And it's stainless steel, so it won't rust. So the second nut that goes on will be able to run right off. Now, like I said, these are 3/8. You could step it up a little bit, but the holes in the seat, if you stepped the next size up, you'd have to drill the holes in the seat out a little bit, and then you'd have no room for error. So the 3/8 leaves you a little bit of room for error. Also, I've decided to not weld it into the sides because as I've mentioned in other videos, when you start welding, you start catching things on fire, and then there's possibly smoke that you shouldn't be breathing and fire hazard. So this is going to be plenty strong enough with it just bolted to the frame, is what I realized. So that is how you replace your junked out seat mounts that are rusted out and have broken bolts. It's really pretty simple to do. You don't have to be all afraid that, oh, you have to form metal and everything. You just need a piece of angle iron and a piece of bar, and then drill the holes in the right spots.